Well, it's true that the BrahMos needs no introduction. It's always been a very popular weapon system, and more so thanks to Operation Sindoor. It's become very much part of our popular culture. This is a serious business. War is a very serious issue, but it is true that BrahMos is a word that everyone recognizes now, and is not restricted to the jargon of military speak. So Dr. Atul Rane, who was Managing Director and CEO of BrahMos Corporation between 2021 and 2024, as Ankit correctly pointed out, was the heights of the BrahMos program here in India, is with us. Very warm welcome to you, sir, and thank you once again for taking the time out. And there couldn't be a better possible time to talk about the BrahMos, is there? There is so much topicality, there is so much subject matter, there are a profusion of images showing us how the BrahMos was actually used. People on their mobile phones are looking at images of how the Indian Air Force actually wielded the BrahMos. So my opening question to you is, Operation Sindoor is synonymous with the BrahMos. We do know that some parts of it, some damage that was caused in Pakistan was thanks to the BrahMos missile, and the BrahMos used by the Indian Air Force to devastatingly accurate effect as well. Your opening sentiments and your opening thoughts, having steered this company and seeing the BrahMos used for the first time in anger.
Thank you for having me here. NDTV has been close to my heart right from the days of Operation Sindoor, because I followed every single moment of that operation through you and Vishnu. And though you say that BrahMos has become synonymous, while it was going on, I always said, that's us. But it was never official. Even today, it's not fully official, but we know. And that's why I just wanted to play one video and just tell you why I was so sure that the Indian Air Force and possibly at that moment of time, the Indian Army had used BrahMos.
The pictures that we saw from Pakistan, Dr. Rane, whether it was Pakistan Air Force Base in Bolari or Jacobabad or many of the others, were you able to tell which ones were caused by the BrahMos?
When I talked with Vishnu on NDTV, just a little after that, I did make the mention that the craters which were seen were so dangerously exactly same as what we had done day in, day out during the various test launches of BrahMos that we have done. That was the video which I wanted to show you, which has been seen by the world during our exhibitions all over the world in defense expos and Aero Indias and expositions. But no one ever thought that this toy could ever be used. But it was extremely clear that the few of the names you mentioned and few of the debris which is seen, it's very, very clear that BrahMos was used.
What are you, 2024 is when you, between 2021 and 24 is when you steered BrahMos. You were at the helm of this organization. Nobody had an inkling. The military is always prepared for war. But, nobody had an inkling that they would perhaps be used in such an extensive and aggressive manner so soon. What kind of feedback have you gotten? You're away from the organization itself right now, but what kind of feedback have you been picking up from the BrahMos ecosystem, from the military, about this weapon?
First of all, I would like to say thank you to the Indian Armed Forces, especially the Indian Air Force, because they showed the confidence that the BrahMos missile system will work. They didn't use it in the earlier requirements, which were there a couple of years back. But then, I guess, with the testing and the confidence which they've got in their practice launches, as well as the 100% capability of us hitting a target bang on, as I keep saying, the missile was meant to miss. That's why they say miss distance. But this is a hitile. It hits the target. And it's just unbelievable that we were able to that our Indian Air Force was able to plan it out and get everything on dot, which was sure that once it's launched, it will hit. But who better than to advertise that BrahMos works and strikes terror is no one else other than the Prime Minister of Pakistan in his address.
And if speaking about, and again, I don't want to be facetious about a very serious issue, but that iconic picture, and I'd like to get that still picture of the Bolari Air Base, if we can just throw it up on that screen. I don't think there can be a bigger advertisement for the BrahMos than the Bolari picture. That's the one. It's become the most shared picture of Operation Sindoor. It's almost become emblematic of what the Indian Air Force actually did. And I don't know for sure because I'm only a civilian, sir, but I'm told that hole was made by a BrahMos. But talking about the weapon system itself, it's had a very, very long journey. It's an Indo-Russian weapon system. It's built only here in India. Huge amount of Indian know-how has progressively gone into it. There are some key systems that are still of Russian origin that are not developed here in India. Can we still call it an Indo-Russian weapon? Or, will there be a time when it can be a completely Indian weapon?
It is an Indo-Russian weapon. It was designed by both of us. It is fully produced in our country, except for that one key part. Work is going on to get that also done in our country. But yes, it's an Indo-Russian designed weapon, but it's an Indian weapon in terms of its integration, production, and use. It's one of a kind in the world, and it's the only owners of it today are the Indian Armed Forces. As I like to say, the supersonic cruise missile triad rests with only one country, and that's us.
Chinese weapons were used extensively by Pakistan. We also know how the Indian Armed Forces managed to almost completely paralyze Pakistani air defenses. You heard the Vice Chief of the Air Staff talk about that in detail earlier today as well. People will be wondering, Dr. Rane, what makes the BrahMos so special? Why is there no antidote to it yet? Surely the countries that don't like us very much have been trying to create an antidote to the BrahMos. Yeah. Why doesn't it exist so far?
First of all, I would like to say that the BrahMos missile, like the subsonic far-off cousin of the US, the Tomahawk, if the US can use the Tomahawk as their underlying statement to push their foreign policy, BrahMos is the answer for the Indian foreign policy. It can be. Now, why is BrahMos so scary? One is its supersonic speed. There is no other cruise missile in the world today, as of now, with this supersonic speed. And that gives the enemy very, very little time to react to an incoming missile, if at all that they know that it's coming in. The radar cross-section is so small, we are able to launch from almost any point of the globe, be it from sea, from land, or from air. As I say, land, sea, or air, we can get you from anywhere. And this is actually a fact. The BrahMos missile, the speed at which it flies, even today, a surface-to-air missile system may be able to track it towards at some moment of time, but he would not have enough time to attack it. People will work. I was wiggling in my chair when you were asking that question, because it will happen maybe 2 years down the line, maybe 4 years down the line, but definitely 10 years down the line. What do we do about that? Become better, become faster, become longer. I mean, there's so many things, and BrahMos has that capability. BrahMos Aerospace, along with their joint venture partners, Defence R&D of India and the NPO Machinist Rane of Russia, are working together, will work together, and will be able to create a much leaner, meaner, faster vehicle.
The area of missiles, Dr. Rane, has been a success story as far as Indian defense is concerned. And within that, the BrahMos has been especially a success story. Some of the other projects have taken their time to come and to mature. The BrahMos has been something seen to have had a certain degree of momentum right from the start, possibly because it has been a joint effort between India and Russia. Could you tell us a little bit more at the time when you stepped away from BrahMos? We do know that this is a weapon system that has a long runway in front of it, a longer range, even more evasive capacities. We understand that there is a hypersonic version of the BrahMos also in the works. What can you share with us about the future of the BrahMos, since everyone knows about what we've used in Operation Sindoor?
Well, it's very well talked about during, as I said, in the run-up to even whatever is there right now. BrahMos Aerospace is working on a smaller version of BrahMos. What I mean to say, a lighter version of BrahMos. Exactly the same characteristics, but capable of being carried on any aircraft, two under the wing of any aircraft. We call it, or the BrahMos Aerospace would be calling it, the BrahMos next generation, the BrahMos NG. This is going to be a game changer. It can go on any aircraft, not just the Su-30. Now we are talking about any aircraft, even Western origin. Second is, of course, as you say, look at longer ranges. We are officially a 300-kilometer missile, even today. We get to know about the longer ranges from people like you and Vishnu, that BrahMos is capable of longer ranges. The armed forces exactly know what BrahMos is capable of. Our aim in BrahMos Aerospace has always been, and with the help of our design partners, DRDO, is to get it better parameters. Better parameters, as you say, does not only mean evasive, it also means longer, larger ranges. It's in the anvil and it can come. Hypersonics, the world is working on it. DRDO is working on it. We've reached somewhere within DRDO. They will be the technology bricks which would jump into the BrahMos, maybe BrahMos as a development come production partner in the years to come. But yes, the hypersonics is what we have to aim for. May not be BrahMos, could be anyone in this room. One of the production partners will have to take it up. But BrahMos Aerospace is best equipped to work on the hypersonic cruise missile.
Dr. Rane, one doesn't really get to see the weapons laboratories where the work on these systems actually takes place. And I can tell you that in the wake of Operation Sindoor, there is a huge, enormous interest by young engineers, aerospace graduates, wanting to work for the Indian industry and the Indian military-industrial system. The reverse brain drain that some people are trying to call it. Give us a kind of preview, not a preview, but a look into how BrahMos works. Do you have a lot of young scientists, a lot of people who come in from the private sector to actually get in on it? The young Indians behind BrahMos, give us a sense of that.
You see, when BrahMos was founded by the first CEO, Dr. Pillai, and later on carried forward by a few of us, it has always been an idea that every year we pick up talent from the universities, from the academia. We pick up about 35, 40 youngsters. We call them executive trainees. After finishing their training with us for about a year and a half, they become engineers. And that's the talent which has been growing within BrahMos. BrahMos has a captive young engineer force. In fact, today I would say the oldest executive trainee now who is there has finished about 16 years of work with BrahMos. So they're ready to take over the mantle of moving BrahMos Aerospace forward without the necessity of bringing in scientists from DRDO or from any other place. That is number one. Number two, the industry. Our industry partners themselves are growing. They're growing and getting their own talent from within. And as I keep seeing, when we kept trying to increase our industry partners, we started seeing the younger industries coming in, the MSMEs, the startups who are actually below 30, below 40, and willing to work with BrahMos. BrahMos has its way of certifying whether a person or industry partner can work, but it's open and When I was around, it was open to looking at all these partnerships. It's still on. Management can't change so fast, but it is a young workforce. The average age when I left BrahMos was in the neighborhood of about 40, 45. Now with me going out, it must have gone even lower.
BrahMos is a Indo-Russian partnership and a joint venture, Dr. Rane. And needless to say, the big headline currently is the frictions that are happening between India and the United States under Trump. He and his entire team have been berating India on a daily basis for our strategic relationship with Russia, specifically for our weapons relationship with Russia, buying their weapons, buying their oil, etc. Give us the BrahMos perspective, because Russia is literally a partner in that venture. How would BrahMos be navigating this kind of thing, or are they completely insulated? That's all geopolitical stuff. They don't have to worry about it.
Geopolitics has always played a role in BrahMos's growth. We actually did look of moving away from Russia in terms of the raw materials and the subsystems because of the cost, sheer reason of cost, and of course volumes also. When our partners became a bit naughty, I'm talking about what happened in Syria, what happened in Crimea. What's going on now is only a fourth or fifth occurrence. So the sanctions on Russia have been there for a very, very long time. BrahMos kept working because these sanctions mean nothing to the relationship which India has with Russia for this particular project called BrahMos Aerospace. BrahMos Aerospace enjoys the support of the government, both governments, Indian government and the Russian government. And I'll tell you a small story. Our small independent autonomous unit, which is part of BrahMos, BrahMos Aerospace Trivandrum Limited, they picked up a small order for supplying something to Israel. They supplied it, and they didn't get back money because by that time the sanctions, not the current sanctions, but the earlier sanctions had hit in, saying that we can't give you the money, you are a Russian company or you're partly Russian. No dollar exchange with BrahMos. We had problems in giving we get a lot of things from our partners in Russia. We are not able to pay them. I mean, it's very, very similar when the Air Force got some of their equipment from Russia. Payments were not going through. But this is a relationship which transcends these sort of boundaries. I know that we might be now beginning to starting to talk about an escrow or a running account. So be it. BrahMos has never been starved for want of equipment, for subsystems from Russia ever. They're in a conflict right now. They call it special operations. Others call it a war. So be it. They're heavily into it. It's 3 years now. Not once has there been a delay of this critical component from our partners to India. Not once. Sea routes have been blocked for us. Air routes have been blocked for us. But still those parts come in. This is the warm relationship. It's no more a relationship. We are a family. BrahMos is a family of Indians and Russians. It can't change. And whatever so be it, other people who want to put their foot in the well, I can only ask them, can you give me what they're giving me? If you can, let's start talking. Let's come to the negotiation table. Otherwise, BrahMos is not interested. We will work with the Russians.
Final question, Dr. Rane, is the fact that the BrahMos took over 2 decades to score its first export. And I know this was not because of a lack of interest in international customers. I know there was a great deal of institutional reluctance and systemic reluctance across administrations here in India for good and maybe some inexplicable reasons. We won't go into those. But the first export order for the BrahMos, this was to the Philippines, happened when you were in charge. How difficult was it to get to that point? And does that open doors to many more customers for the BrahMos?
Thanks to the courage which our armed forces showed in using BrahMos, the results speak for themselves. So yes, the world is looking for it. The world has been looking at BrahMos to buy for many, many years. Why did it take a lot of time? Number one is the voracious appetite which our armed forces have. We needed to first take care of them, then start worrying about exports. But then there was a moment of time when the targets were put that we need to up our exports. And BrahMos was always there, ready for export, ready for everything. Talks have been going on with so many of these countries. It became time that we have to do it. It's not easy. Let me tell you, exporting a full weapon system is not easy. This is the first weapon system. We managed to do it with the Philippines. I'm sure BrahMos Aerospace is just on the anvil with a couple of other nations. It's great because we have put our foot in the door. The door can't close now. And this has opened the avenue for rest of the weapon system manufacturers. I'm not talking about the supply chain plugging into that. I am talking about the weapon system manufacturers. We have got many of our industry partners here who are manufacturing full weapon systems, and they are also, I know, in conversation with many countries. In fact, after the 2022 contract signing, very quickly, 2023, 2024, 25, I didn't see anything, but there have been huge contracts signed by both the PSU and a private industry. Can't take names, otherwise people say I'm being favorite. But what happens is, BrahMos, by virtue of being part of the government, maybe had it a little easier to get in. But still, it's BrahMos Aerospace Private Limited, whatever it be. That's the fact. And if a private limited company could break in with another country with the help of the Indian government has already started working on exporting, looking at exports, and garnishing more and more support to the industries for exporting. We are there. And that small target, I will use the word small target. 2 years back, I put my neck on the block and said, BrahMos alone can do that target. We haven't, we have done only one, but I think in another 2 years we will be able to do it if we are allowed to.
I think that's a good note to end on. BrahMos, apart from being a unique weapon, I agree with you. It's like an ice cream sundae of the defense industry because it's got PSU, it's got private sector, it's got an international partner, it's got a JV component. It's got all these different aspects to it, and that's what makes it so unique, and that's what perhaps also makes it so flexible to operate in the current scenario. And we'll be tracking the flight path of BrahMos going forward very, very closely. Dr. Atul Rane, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
being with us.